So in this lesson, we'll understand one feature which is available on Azure Virtual Machine. So when we go to the Azure Virtual Machine, so under the operations, we would see a feature called as a run command. So which is very much useful. So let's take some kind of a typical cases. Could be like we are unable to connect to an Azure Virtual Machine. For some reasons, RDP got disabled. Now we don't have either from a network or from on-prem network or somewhere, we are not able to connect to the virtual machine. Even after subsequent reboots, we are not able to connect to the virtual machine. So when we all troubleshooting, we see that basically an RDP service got stopped or disabled for some reasons. Now, how do we basically enable this one? Second kind of things could be like okay, we want to enable a Windows update or a disable Windows update or run a PowerShell script command which is having it. Okay. Sometimes the organizations, the Azure administrator may not have permissions on the guest OS, or I would say an operating system. But he has a full control on the Azure environment, but he doesn't have an permissions on an Azure virtual machine OS. So now what happens with this feature is so the Azure administrator can reset the configurations using the PowerShell scripts. So to run these PowerShell commands or anything to reset from the Azure portal, so Microsoft gave a feature called as a run a command. So this run command feature enables us to execute commands. So it could be a DOS command. So this allows you to execute a DOS command. And having a pre-PowerShell scripts which perform certain activities. Now, we can see when we go to the run command, we would see some kind of an disable NLA, disable Windows update, enable admin account, enable AMS. Like Microsoft is already given certain kind of an scripts, a PowerShell scripts, which can be ready to use it. If for some reasons a network level authentication is being enabled, and due to this, the users are unable to connect or access the Azure virtual machine. Now Microsoft gave in a feature with a pre-written script. So Microsoft has written already a script. We just need to click simply run this particular script and it will start executing it. Start executing it. That is you have an admin account, local administrator account, and which got disabled. So Microsoft gave a script that in order to enable that particular account. So if you really want to enable that account, you can do that. Similarly, like you want to enable a remote PowerShell. So Microsoft already gave a PowerShell script which can be ready to use. Just simply we have to run it. So this feature enables us to execute PowerShell scripts. So we can have our own PowerShell scripts. So we can create our own PowerShell script and we can run it. So by using a called as a run PowerShell script. Now let's take a simple. So I have this virtual machine. So I'm just connecting to the RDP of this virtual machine. So I'm able to connect to this machine using an RDP from anywhere. So now I'm inside the VM and I see I can perform everything this one. Now I'm just disabling this feature called as an RDP. So the moment I disabled it, I lost the RDP connection. Now, either using a private IP of the virtual machine or a public IP of the virtual machine, as the RDP service or feature got disabled inside the Azure virtual machine, we are unable to connect. Now, how do we enable this one? So go to the feature called as a run command, which you find under the operations, or you can find directly. So run PowerShell script. Now you know, so I have small PowerShell commands which written, so which will enable the PowerShell, which will enable the RDP server feature, which will disable the network level authentication, and which will enable the RDP port in the firewall. So I have three commands, because if I enable RDP feature, but firewall will still block, the Windows firewall will block the port. So I'm just executing these commands. I'm putting this in three commands and click on run. Now let's see script execution completed. Now without logging into an Azure virtual machine, we were able to execute PowerShell script. So I'm going to the virtual machine. I'm taking the public IP of the virtual machine. Earlier we were not able to connect. Now we should be able to connect. Now we can see that we are able to connect to the RDP. Okay. Now see this, the feature got enabled. So like this, for some reasons, when we don't have an access to the Azure virtual machine, when you lost connectivity and access to the Azure virtual machine, you can use a run command feature, and by using a PowerShell script, you can perform the administration activities, or like a kind of a troubleshoot your Azure virtual machine. Right. In the next lesson, we'll understand about the administrative feature.